next episode of Vinyl Stallions.
Vinyl Stallions.
We have a great guest today. We have Sam Russ, Cleveland Zone. How's it going?
Heyo, yeah, it's good. I was born in Willoughby, which is not very far from downtown Cleveland.
No, probably like 20 minutes
Yeah.
east of Cleveland.
East Sider.
East Sider, yes, but then I moved to the West Side, so now I call myself a West Sider. But then when I went to college, I went to Valparaiso, which is in Indiana in the middle of nowhere.
Nice. I've heard of that. They got the
Okay.
basketball team.
Yeah, they got the basketball team. And then I went there for a year and a half. It was good. I met a lot of really cool people, and then I transferred to Cleveland State, and then I dropped out because I was like, this isn't it.
Yay.
And I was dating an artist man at the time. So we were making music together. And so, you know, if you're in a relationship and you make music together, it's just like really,
That's connection.
really intimate. And it was really kind of highs and lows, very, very deep, very romantic. So then I was like, let's drop out. Let's move to Costa Rica and make music and like live that lifestyle and live that dream. And he was not about it. So I dropped out.
Did you go to Costa Rica?
Yeah. So I dropped out. And then a week later, I went to Mexico for a few weeks. And then I came back, and then I went to New York, and then I came back, and I was working as a barista in Tremont. Beviamo, a little vegan spot that's now no longer there.
Yeah.
I loved it though. It was really great. Met a lot of cool people. I worked at town hall for 6 days.
6 days. Almost got that full week.
Oh no, I was there it was probably like 3 weeks, but like collectively 6 to 10 days.
Yeah.
But Bobby George yelled at me once, and I was just like, fuck this. Like, I'm not gonna get
It seems to be a pretty split thing with the town hall opinions here in Cleveland, but
yeah.
but you made it 6 days.
He's doing really good. I mean, he's obviously like really great at curating restaurant vibes, and I props to that. He's a businessman. He's really successful, but I personally just didn't like being yelled at in the middle of the floor in front of a bunch of people.
In your first week, trying to get a grasp on like what the hell's happening.
So then I was
He's no Chef Ramsay.
So so I was there, and then I was like, I'm quitting, and the manager was like, no, you need to put your 2 weeks in. And I was like, I've been here 4 shifts. This is ridiculous. So then I worked I think 3 more shifts or something after that. And then I went to Thailand, and then I went to Costa Rica.
Nice.
So I did make it to Costa Rica.
How long were you in Thailand for?
I was in Thailand for a month.
Very nice.
And then the first time I really got in the studio and realized that I wanted to make music in a studio setting. And I had been learning ukulele this whole time. I played piano, traditionally, formally from 9 to 12, and then I got more into like the athletic side of things, and I was doing soccer, basketball, and track, and I just like couldn't keep up with like doing the solitary piano playing when you're nobody wants to do that as a 12-year-old.
And also you got to go where the piano is. You can't like take it on about when you have a child. You're like, get me out of the house.
Yeah, and my bro, I would practice, and he'd be like, Sam, can you shut the fuck up? That's so annoying because
Mary Had a Little Lamb can only be played so many times.
Yeah, and you're playing wrong notes. Like, it doesn't sound like super amazing, like until you get it right. And then it's like, okay, nobody wants to hear the same song over and over again unless you're the practitioner, and then you understand that you've come so far.
Yeah.
Everybody else is in the house is like, please shut up. And so then I was also learning ukulele, because when I was in Valparaiso, one of my roommates, she played 27 instruments, and that was just super. She's like one of those savant people that was really.
It just comes naturally.
Just
like everything.
Just music, boom! Like it's any instrument, anything, she could do it. She could pick it up, and that was really inspiring. And so I was like, well, shit! If she can do 27 of these, I can learn one. And I'm gonna pick ukulele, because ukulele is like one of the easiest string instruments to learn.
Yeah, but it's unique though.
It's unique, yeah.
It definitely just gives that unique tone that like. I don't know. And it does, and you don't see it too often around here, like as well.
Yeah. And I wanted to travel, and it's like traveling with a guitar is just not as easy.
It's like 1/3, not like 1/4, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Ukulele is just like so quick. You pick it up, it's a carry-on, like you're on your way. It's a personal item, actually.
Yeah. Don't have to pay that extra.
Just wear all your fucking clothes on your body, and then have your ukulele, and you're there.
Very cool. Very cool.
So yeah, so then right after I got back from Thailand, after dropping out of college, my brother is best friends with Kareem Hunt, who's the running back of the Cleveland Browns, and they go to I think he'd be fine with me saying this, but they go to the studio and they make music, so they have a ton of music.
Damn, I don't know if
I did not know that.
I don't think anyone does.
Yeah.
Because music costs money, and I mean, if you have a lot of money, you can go to the studio and you can make a lot of music, because they just play a beat off of anything, and then you're up in the studio in the booth just ripping out heaters, ripping out bars. And so
screw anyone that says money can't make you happy. All I want to do is make money so I could build a studio like this. Like that's the only happiness I want right now.
Yeah, it's so great. And then you hang out, everybody's there, you're there for like 4 or 5 hours, because money doesn't matter. And but 4 or 5 hours, a regular person, that's like, $100 an hour. You're like thinking, what the hell?
You're like, I have 2 takes and then I'm moving on to the next thing, or else it's another $50 an hour.
Yes, you're like, I have to. You have it written out. And so it was cool. My brother invited me, and in between my travels of Thailand and heading to Costa Rica, he's like, yo, Sam, come up to the studio. We're just here bullshitting, laying down bars. And he knows I wrote music. So.
Yeah. And so does your brother like write music, obviously, then?
Yeah, my brother doesn't write, but he was definitely spitting bars with like Kareem and the whole squad of people that were there, and would show up and be like, let me get in the booth. And so they have a ton of songs, and there's a ton of people all over these songs. And so yeah, I was in the studio, and I went in, and at this moment in my life, I had really been freestyling on beats like a lot.
Okay.
And so I was prepared. So I went into the studio, the producer, or the sound engineer, Kalam, he played a beat, and I went in there and I just freestyled the whole thing, the whole like 3.5 minutes.
Nice.
And it was sick. It came out really cool. And I just like felt this vibe of like, oh my God, that was like such a cool feeling.
Yeah. So is that song out?
So yes. So during this time, I was under a different alias.
Okay.
Because as an artist, you go through these like, is it my real name I should use? Should I use another person's name? Should I come up with something really creative? Like, not even a real name, but sort of just like a word. So during this time, I was an alter ego. Her name was Nova. And in the song, I say, I shine bright like a star, they call me Nova. And there's just a lot of synchronicities that went around this song, but T-minus like 8 days after that studio session, I land in Costa Rica and I meet a doctor, and his name is Dr. Star. So then I was like, my name is going to be Nova Star. So it's under Nova Star. The song is called Coconut Pineapple. And then Passenger Seat is the one with my brother and Kareem Hunt on it. And that's a good vibe. And then they play it whenever they're traveling together.
Nova Star.
Nova Star.
We're going to find it. We're going to post it.
It's on Spotify.
Yeah, it's Nova Star, and then the album is called Novation. So
okay, so full studio album.
Full studio album, full beats that are not mine at all. I just went into the studio and just some of them were freestyles and some of them were, written. But I had just like this inspiration to just go in the studio and just make an album and put it out there. And so it's underneath Nova Star.
And so when was this?
Right on.
This was 2019.
Okay. So 2019, then you go to Costa Rica.
So then I go to Costa Rica.
And how long are you there for?
I'm there for 2 months.
Okay.
And I was living with the doctor and his family up in the mountains.
Okay. Was that a crazy experience?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even imagine like living there, like let alone being there for like a week.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I had $2,000 in my bank account, and my goal was just to make it work.
Yeah, no.
I dropped out of college. I had nothing else better. I was like, I'll be the next Bill Gates somehow while I'm being a hippie around the world. Like all I really wanted to do was surf and speak Spanish, because that's what I was studying in school, was international business and Spanish. Okay. And so I knew I loved language, and I knew I wanted to be somewhere where I could use that, which is kind of I dropped out of college for a lot of different reasons, but something that really was irking me and pulling on my heart was the fact that I was in these four walls learning Spanish from an English speaking professor. Like it just was like, you know, it just didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel real. So I was like, I want to go to a country where I am speaking it and being forced to learn the language and actually communicate. So then I went to Costa Rica with just purely the intentions to surf as much as possible and speak Spanish as much as possible. And I met the doctor because I had landed and my shuttle bus was supposed to pick me up. I was a volunteer for a yoga music festival called Envision, which is super dope. It's in the jungle. It's right by the ocean.
And that's in Costa Rica?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Very cool.
It's in Dominical. So it's about 4.5 hours from San Jose. So you have to get a shuttle bus. And I was staying at a hostel at the time. So I got a shuttle bus. I booked a shuttle bus online, like in advance. This was me being a good, responsible hippie. Most hippies wouldn't have thought of it.
No, they're sticking the thumb out. They're not even thinking ahead. It's just about getting there.
Yes, and hitchhiking is really big in Costa. Anyway, so I get there, I'm looking around, and when you're at a foreign airport, they don't think you speak the language, so they're like screaming at you and like, come with me, like here, it's this much money, you know, just trying to get you to like come with them. Anyway, this American guy goes, "Are you looking for something?" I go, "Yeah. I'm looking for monkey rides. I booked the shuttle bus online. I prepaid and everything. They said they would be here waiting for me." And he goes, "Oh, that's crazy. I happen to know the owner of that company," which is like 4.5 hours away.
Yeah.
Like, that's strange.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, so let me give him a call. What's your name?" I go, "Samantha." He goes and calls the guy, and he comes back and he goes, "Hey, I'm really sorry, but Richard, the owner of Monkey Ride, said some girl got on the bus as you and they left an hour ago."
What?
And I was like, well, damn.
What an entrance to like a different country.
Yeah. I was like, well, that's terrible. You either stay in San Jose, which is like pretty known for travelers just like disappearing.
Yeah.
Especially
no, thank you.
Yeah, especially like little young hippie girls with their backpacks and their hula hoop and my ukulele. Like everything was like my tent. I had everything on the carry-on because I wasn't gonna pay. You know,
just
what I'm
screaming, just like I just got here.
Yes, yes, a little blonde girl straight from Thailand. You know, like I got like basically almost dreads now. I just look total flow ball. You know
Yeah.
And he goes, "Well, that's crazy. I happen to live 15 minutes away from the hostel that you're staying. If you want, I can give you a ride."
Nice.
So then super long story, super short. I ended up going back with them and he's like, "Do you want to stay in my mansion or do you want me to take you back to the hostel?" And I was like, "I think I'll stay in the mansion."
Yeah.
So then the next so then the next morning I met his Australian wife and his 3 girls, and with the view of the ocean, in the mountain in the jungle.
So you like did make it like pretty quickly. Like you made it in like a huge house within like what, a day?
Yeah.
That's
within a few hours of landing.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was so crazy because in Coconut Pineapple, I just like there was a lot of like prophesizing of my own life in that song for me. Like I was like really speaking about what was about to happen on this next 2 months of the journey in Costa Rica. I was talking about the right side and left side in the brain. Anyway, this dude ended up owning a neuroscience company.
Interesting.
So
what
it's
are the
like,
chances
right?
of that?
And so he hired me on, and so I ended up working for that company for 1.5 years.
Nice.
And that was my means for making and dropping the album after I got back to America.
Dang.
Very cool.
Yes. So that was my weird kind of start into like the studio music vibes. And definitely like at this point in my life too, I had like a super ego. It was like where I really felt convicted of the fact that something much larger than myself was guiding me through life. And that's because I gave up all control. I gave up control of my finances. I gave up control of my education. And I really just was like, well, show me wherever you want to go.
Yeah, just go all in on it.
Yeah. And I was all in. And so yeah, I kind of like really felt like, I don't know, I felt that everything I was doing was somehow leading me somewhere really great.
No, I mean, it seems to have like, I don't know, at least from what I'm hearing, like set you up on a great path to come back. And then, I mean, all the music that Cup and I like listened to and whatnot were after that. And
yes, the Sam Russ, everything that I've released on Sam Russ, I wrote when I was in Costa Rica. A lot of that, actually, I'm finishing a song now that I wrote in my last month of being in Costa Rica. And it's just like, I talk about being a college dropout, and it's just funny because I'm no longer a college dropout.
Yeah.
Like COVID hit, I lost my job, and I was like, well, shit, ain't nothing else to do. I'm gonna go back to college. And so I graduate in December.
Very nice.
So it's funny, like how, I wrote about all this stuff, and it's different how it's changed now. And now I'm finally finishing the song.
But I always say about like my songs, just songs in general, like it's about like the moment. It's not about like where it ends up. It's just like at that moment, this is what I was thinking. This is where I was. Like, let it just speak and be that chapter.
Right. That's the cool thing about music and like putting it out there is like you always have it as a checkpoint or just a chapter to turn back to and be like, I produced it, I made it.
You back to it.
Yep. And I put it out there because I know a lot of artists that like don't do that because they're like, it's not perfect. It's not exactly what I want it to be. But like perfection isn't art. Art is mistakes. Art is ugly sometimes. Art is, art is like mashing a bunch of different things up on a wall and then kind of making and fitting what works. So as a musician, I have just seen a really beautiful progression of my music. And my music back then in Nova Star, I'm almost a little bit embarrassed, like to be like Nova Star, like please don't look it up, you know what I'm saying?
But I mean, like again at the time, you obviously like had
but again at the
confidence in
time,
it's you,
yeah.
And yeah, I love the way you said about like the perfection. Like we've been preaching that on the past couple.
Yeah, very well put.
You just rather put out something that's great and not perfect because you're gonna lose your freaking mind. Like if you just try to find that perfection and then you're like any songs in general.
And you're gonna lose the vibe and you're gonna lose the feeling that you once felt, and you're different. You're constantly changing. I'm different from the person I was yesterday. Like like my vibes yesterday were so different than today. Like today was like a rainy day, and I was like really like imagining I was in the Pacific Northwest and like kind of like hiking up there. But like yesterday was different. I was sleepy. I was, very cloudy. So it's just, you have to just get it out there and put it out there. And so like as a musician, and it's again, kind of like eek for me to say musician because there's people that are like so talented and I don't want to compare myself to them.
But it's not a comparison,
but
though.
It's not a comparison.
It starts with just literally, as cheesy as it sounds, like just literally your first fan has to be yourself. Like it may seem selfish, like your music has to be for you first. And, so yeah, no, it's not it's not a comparison. I don't think.
Yeah.
Like definitely don't put yourself in that situation comparing to other people because you're your own artist and yourself, and like if you're proud of it, that's all that should really matter.
Yeah, and definitely it was a tough transition, like seeing how Kareem was just able to spend so much time in the studio because he was able to spend so much money, and then like being 20 at the time and being like, like I'm not an athlete, I don't come from like insane amounts of money. Like my family, we do well, but investing in art was never kind of encouraged.
Yeah.
It was always like you should go to school, you should become an engineer, like you should do the right thing.
Check the boxes.
Check the box, and I get it. I'm here for it. I'm obviously in school again. I'm getting my degree. I understand the purpose of it. As an American, education is a privilege. I was dating a guy in Costa Rica at the time, and my song "Up to the Moon" by Sam Russ is after he got deported. So we were
Oh wow.
we were dating. He was from Nicaragua, but we were in Costa Rica. And when you're in Costa Rica, Nicaraguans aren't really like, they are considered the poor people. And so they get treated really bad. So he got treated really bad. And I obviously pitied that, but he obviously, played into it. And during COVID, I got quarantined in Costa Rica. I was living there again. So I was quarantined there for 6 months. And I had my ukulele with me. So I was, but we were in this like very vicious. I've had some really just like toxic relationships.
It makes for great songs.
I know. Like the artist in me was like, "Oh, this is so good. This is so bad." Like, just feel this. Yes, literally just like rampantly writing things, like whether it was like happy or sad or sexual or intimate, like whatever it was, it did make for good writing.
Yeah.
But he had to drop out of school in third grade simply to go harvest beans so that his family could eat that night.
That's complete, just different world.
Just like you would have no idea the reality of that if you never went to another country and met somebody like that. And the fact that we were like a couple at the time, it made it so real for me. And then I just felt really honestly just terrible for him. So we were trying to get married. But he was 2 years past his visa in Costa Rica, and it's like we shouldn't have done it. Anyway, we were driving to San Jose trying to get his birth certificate, and there were people who like checked their passports. It was a checkpoint, and he like was lying, and they're like, "Well, we know you're lying. You're from Nicaragua. We're gonna deport you right now." So they took him out of my car.
Out of the car.
They took him out of the car. I was like pleading with them. I was in Spanish. And it's like, you know, I speak Spanish. I say I speak Spanish, but like when you're trying to make an argument and you're just feeling really emotional, it's really difficult. And so I was just like, please don't take him. Like, you can't do this. He has to come back with me. I don't know how to get back. Just all these things. Like, we're in love. Like, we're trying to get married, right?
I mean, that's like
There's anything.
Yeah.
And they were like, no. And so I just had to leave. And I was just like heart shattered. Like,
I mean, that's like beyond movies. That's shit they pitch to movies, and then they're like, no, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
That happened. And I was screaming on I had never screamed like this before. I swear to God. It was like when your soulmate dies, and that was the last time I saw him.
Yeah,
that was going to be my next question is, have you seen him since?
I mean, so I had bought him a phone before all of that happened. Luckily, literally like a day before. But again, like I spent so much money on this kid too. And so much money on this kid. And so we were chatting on the phone, but it was like, yeah, I was like, that's when, you know, God is stepping in and it's like, yeah, you guys aren't going to get married. Yeah, the right thing is going to happen here. You both are going to go back to your houses. And this was a week before my flight.
So like that's what was going to be my next question. How much longer were you there?
So I had a week left. So then literally as he got deported, I had a 5-hour back to Santa Teresa, which is where I was staying, which is part of the peninsula on the country. And just, you know, the roads are different than the roads here. It's like dirt road. You're on like you know, like you're in the mountain. Next thing you know, you're by the ocean. Like just trying to get back. I was asking people like, where, you know, how do I get to Santa Teresa? And they're like, oh, just keep going. And I'm about 10 minutes away from my house, and I get a call from the airline. She goes, is this Miss Smith or us? I go, yes. She goes, oh, I just wanted to call you to let you know that your flight has been canceled and moved back until like end of August. And it was end of June at this time.
What? I've never heard that.
Oh, wow.
Because it was COVID, so it was really hard.
Oh, so this was like 2020, like
yeah.
like first year of it.
Yes, this is 2020. I was quarantined there. They really didn't want you traveling. Like we weren't supposed to be renting a car. I actually even got pulled over on that trip. On the trip, I was speeding. The guy's like, "Oh, how fast are you going?" I was like, I don't know this. You go in kilometers here. 120 in kilometers? I don't know.
Yeah, just play dumb. I don't know.
Yeah. He goes, oh, yeah, I think you know what it is. But he didn't give me a ticket because it was also a rental car. And I was 20 at the time.
I'm like, please.
Yeah, and like, please don't do that to me. So yeah, and then I got the call, and then I was just like, you got to be kidding me. I just lost my boyfriend, and now I have to stay here and with our memories. So in the song, I say, you know, I'm doing all the things that we used to do. And that means like when you're in a relationship and you guys like do things together and you go places and you go eat and, you know, you go walk in the park and then you're broken up and then you go do those same things together. It's like very reminiscent. And,
I mean, you immediately go to those moments.
Yeah, like you go to those moments that you had together. And it's not that we ended on any bad note. We ended because literally like, that was destined to we were destined to not continue our relationship. And I gave him all I could. I was definitely a sugar mama for him. I gave him about, like, if we had to put a number on it, probably 10K. Sheesh. At the time I was 20, you know, it's like, I didn't really need to do that, but it just goes to show like when you're in love, like money doesn't matter. So yeah, I guess I fell for him, but we're here now. We were together 5 months, so it was kind of a long time.
Yeah.
when we were with together every single day because we were COVID and there was nothing else going on. And he didn't have a job, obviously, and I did. And I was working remotely at the time. So it was like my job was super chill. I was working for the doctor.
And so, did you successfully make it back in August on that flight?
So then they canceled. So then they canceled, and my mom was like, "Fuck that." She's like, "I'm getting you home." So she paid, well, I don't know how much money for
And
a
just
flight.
got you
next
back.
week. Yeah.
Okay.
She was like, "We're not doing this. I'm having you home for your birthday because my birthday is in July." And
Nice.
and so the flight was July 9th is when I came home. Because him and I were together on July 4th, and I was so sad on July 4th because July 4th is so much fun in America,
Yeah.
especially in Cleveland, and like everyone's out having cookouts, and being in July in Cleveland is honestly sick. Like it's
Just summer in general. Like
It's
that's
summer in
like why
general.
we live here, people. Like it's the
Literally.
3 months that we get.
yeah, Edgewater's great. You have the sunsets, Lakewood steps. Like, yeah, it's just a beautiful time, and everyone's happy, outdoorsy. So I was really sad on like July 4th when I wasn't here in America. But so yeah, then my mom was like, "Nah, I'm getting you home," and so she, she pulled some strings. She does some her mom things,
Made some calls.
Yes.
Made some-
My daughter needs to come home right now. I'm not doing this anymore.
Moms, shout out to moms.
Yeah, shout out to all the moms. She's great. Yeah, she's my inspo for sure. So the song I'm actually writing right now is like, it has nothing to do with what my mom actually taught me, but it's like my mom taught me like life is, like coffee, like it's black or white, and you can kind of mix it and add it how you like. But why didn't you teach me that life is kind of like a bitch? And,
Definitely.
because that song is about the song that I'm working on right now is that I wrote in Costa Rica in 2020 is about the day I lost my job with the neuroscience company. I went down to the beach. I was strumming my ukulele underneath a little tree, just looking out at the waves. I was watching everybody else surfing, and I was like, damn, I have no means of living right now. I'm back to square one.
Yeah, but you did it though. So overall, we're gonna continue on this journey. So how long were you actually in Costa Rica, like fully?
So when I went there for the first time, I was there for 2 months.
Okay, and
then I was quarantined there for 6 months.
Okay.
But in 2018, I initially went there for my yoga teacher training, and so I was there for a month.
Home away from home is what I'm picking up.
Okay, so you went there, came back, and then recorded the Nova Star songs, and then went back.
Yeah, so I went there in 2018 after my first year of college in June, and to get yoga teacher certified up in Tamarindo, which is like the northern west coast. And then a year later, I came back to a year later, is it 2019? No, 2017 is when I went for the yoga teacher training.
Okay, and that's after Valparaiso and CSU.
Correct.
Okay, I'm just trying to piece it all together.
Yeah, I graduated high school in 2016. After my first year, so which would have been 2017, is when I went to Costa Rica, and then 2018 I dropped out and transferred, and then in 2019 is when I went to go be the volunteer for the Yoga Music Festival, and then 2020 I went back with the company I was working. We also were working the festival, collecting brain scans of people who were tripping and not tripping to test the effects of psychedelics on the brain waves.
Wait, what? No, wait. What'd you do? You collected what?
We collected it's called the EEG, electroencephalogram of your brain waves.
And like people like at festivals are like volunteers.
Yeah, and they had to put this cap on, and I had to gel there.
And would they tell you if they're tripping balls?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So we had to collect their brain scan first when they were sober, and had a homeostasis of the
So they like knew before going in.
Regular. Yes.
I thought they would just show up or like tripping balls and be like, I'm tripping, put me in.
No. They had to show up in the first. So this festival in particular, it was usually 4 days in the past, but because this was the 10-year anniversary, it was 7 days. In the first 2-3 days, we had to have people show up as their baseline. And then from there, we were testing like what, when they would tell us, I'm on Molly or I'm candy flipping. That's where I learned what candy flipping was. I had no idea what that was. And I was like, what is that? And she's like, oh, it's all these drugs. And I was like, why? Like, you're doing so much right now. Yeah, and the people would come. A lot of people on mushrooms. Yeah, a lot of people on acid, LSD. I mean, trippy hippie yoga festival.
That's
Like,
crazy.
yeah,
I've never heard of anything like that.
it's so cool. Like, I love this festival because you have the people who trip and do drugs and stuff, but then there's also like hella vegan food and there's no plastic, and so everything is like reusable.
Nice.
And then there's also a yoga section, so there's like 12 hours of workshops that are happening daily by like world-renowned teachers.
Very
So
cool.
you have the people that are there up at 6 a.m. doing yoga, like the true yogis, and that are there strictly to learn and practice with 100 plus people in the workshops, and it's just like the energy is just simply unmatched. I mean, you're in the jungle surrounded by monkeys with just a bunch of foreign people and
That's crazy.
lots of Germans, lots of Swedish people, just like people that love that type of vibe and are spending time and money
Definitely.
going to do it. So
Well, very cool.
yeah.
That sounds like all right. So that's a crazy experience all around. Those years leading up, but then you come back to America. Well, so hang on. First off, so when do you like want to get into singing? You've mentioned how you like played the piano from around 12. You play the ukulele, but so did you always want to be a singer, or was there a moment like that? I don't know, where you started wanting to write songs, or is it just all natural?
Yeah, so I've always been a writer. I have so many notebooks. I started writing like consistently, probably when I was like, I don't know, my whole life.
And like strictly like songs, or like poetry,
Yeah,
like
poetry,
anything.
mostly poetry. I would write like little like children books when I was like 6 or 7. Like I would make like little books and like show them to my mom. Like,
And at that time you would know what 6-year-olds want. You
Yes,
should have listened.
exactly. I made a big toe on a jet ski because we had jet skis when we were younger, so it was always like something weird in my life. And so then I really started like writing notebooks when I was like 8 or 9, and I was really into reading, so I really loved reading. I loved philosophy, and writing, and I just loved writing, and the leverage that you can have on language is so cool, and kind of seeing how words fit and how I love that speculation of language, and that's why I love learning other languages, because there is just nothing that opens your mind the same way learning language does. There's nothing like people who speak people who are multilingual, they're so much smarter than you, like as far as like the ability to understand how a human being functions. They're just so with it, and they're so non-judgmental and just like ultra compassionate. um but then my mom, she was always a singer when she was younger, and so she would always sing around my brother and I, and we would always dance, and so we were always like around music. My dad was more the like engineer brain kind of like math guy, like,
Okay.
like, okay, if you're going 60 miles an hour on the highway and it's 1.2 miles away, it's gonna take
He was the one who taught you the kilometers for Costa Rica.
yes, yeah. But so, and then and then kind of, and then my ex, before I even went to the studio, he was like, he makes music here. He's another Cleveland artist. Maybe I have him on the podcast.
Yeah.
We're cool now. But he was like making music, and he's like, I want to like have my own like, room, and I produce my own tracks. And he really looked up to Russ, R-U-S-S,
Yeah.
the artist.
He's
and
awesome.
Yeah, how Russ like kind of like produced all his own shit and
Definitely.
just like killed it. And so I saw him doing that, and I was like, if that's what you want to, and in my head, I was like, if that's what you want to do with your life, like, why don't you do that with your life? Because in my head, it's always like, if you want to do something, why keep talking about it? Why don't you just go do it?
You gotta take that first step, like somewhere.
Well, like, why don't you just like fully commit? In my head, I'm like, if you really want to make it work, why don't you just have faith in it? Why don't you trust it? And just like, the money will come type of thing. But I think like our fear like wants to keep us confined, and that's fine. And there's ways to work around it. But I do really believe if you fully commit to something, the money will come and you will be provided for however you are supposed to be provided for. But it's like also, I understand the other path of like wanting to actually go chase money and then have it be a hobby until you can hopefully make it your full-time gig. Yeah, that's where I'm at now.
And so is that so? There's 5 Sam Russ songs out on Spotify right now, right? 6, 5, something like that.
5.
5.
Oh, I'm glad you know.
I listened to them all today. I
Me
want them
too,
to
and
be
honestly,
fresh in my head.
Nice.
Can we walk through those? Because
Yeah.
I wrote things down when listening to them.
Mhm.
I've been trying to hold back on this, like, waiting for this moment to dive into your music. But before we even like touch on it, like your voice is like unreal good.
Oh, thank you
Like
so
it
much.
gave us. We talked. We
We
felt
both said Adele.
Adele
Yeah.
vibes.
I get at that a
The
lot.
Lil's Gat, and then what? And what was the other one you said?
Nora Jones.
Oh, Nora Jones kick ass.
Nora Jones. Nice. I don't know who that is.
I don't even know when was
She's
she
from like the late
90s.
90s, early 2000s.
You
But
know.
yeah, like R&B. I mean, similar to Adele, just not quite as popular.
Yeah, no, I definitely have gotten the Adele before. She's got such a beautiful, like,
Masterpiece of a voice, but yeah.
I could see that.
It's like the pronunciations. There's one specific one that we'll touch on. But all right, so like 4/10/20 is the date that you release We Are Waves,
Okay.
and you're in the pandemic, so you're in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So did you produce this yourself?
Let me see.
Yeah. Or basically, like, so I'm saying, like, did you work with one person on all these?
So We Are Waves. So no, We Are Waves. I found a beat from. If I could just remember. Noden. It's on Noden. So at this time, I was also using the music process of what Kareem was doing, which is find a beat on YouTube, play over it, and then I would write to it, and then I would record it. So when I released that one, I released that on 4/10. I was in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, that's literally like right when everything like was going down. Like if we didn't know if we were getting out ever, and you're just dropping We Make Waves with that synth just going like in and out at the beginning. That literally, like I was like running in today and it was just like, what the fuck is this? Like that was kick ass.
So yeah, so Noden is so good. He
has a pretty famous account on YouTube. It's a whole group of them. It's Mixtape Soul, but it's Seoul, South Korea.
Oh, okay.
So it is super kind of vibey, upbeat, lots of synth.
Yeah.
Kind of boppy. You can bop to it, and so I really liked that. And so I wrote over it, and I had recorded it, and I think I maybe just had it mastered by my guy Brad, who lives here in Cleveland. He's actually moving to LA come July. He's my mix master engineer.
That's big time, and though that's good.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. He's been doing this for 15 years. I'm really excited for him. I'm
nice.
happy.
And what's his name? Brad
Pouet.
Brad Pouet.
Do you know Alina Baraz?
I do not.
Well, Gala Matthias.
No. I do not. I'm not hip.
Did you know the song Fantasy?
No, I'm just not like
Maybe.
you probably know the song, but he helped out with this like really incredible album that has a super vibey yoga, like just really chill. And so I had met him as Nova Star when I was attending all these just weird things with a bunch of rappers, and I was like, hell am I doing here? But that was the vibe I was in. You know, like that's where
you just ride the wave.
I was riding the wave, and so he was there. And we were at his studio, and I met him, and we just vibed, and so we started working together.
Very nice.
And so he mastered that, and I must have been like, yo, hey, can you master this? I wanted to release stuff under I was at this point where I was like, I want to release stuff under Sam Russ. I'm not Nova Star. I'm Sam Russ.
Yeah, let it rip.
Yeah.
You do a really good job in that as well with like adding like second voices and stuff. Like that's like so big in music, just harmonies and like the background stuff going on that like doesn't go, or it goes like unnoticed, like when you're just like casually listening and whatnot. But like when you like zone in, you're like, that is providing like really big for the like the whole song, and you do that really well.
That's actually kind of been my niche moving forward. Each song I've gotten significantly better at doing that.
Yeah.
Because I would study people's, and particularly Billie Eilish and Benny, and I was like, these girls have so much other stuff going on in the song.
It's like 60 voices
You
with
don't
Billie
even
Eilish's
know.
songs.
Yeah,
Like,
but most people, all they hear is the lead, and they just like sing the lead, and they have no idea that the whole reason that they love the song is because everything else is going on in the background.
Yes. Wow, I've been trying to find that out.
So that's where moving forward with my songs, and this next song I just created, Brad is so stoked for me because I really figured out I need to add really cool harmonies and lots of different like new undertone melodies and just getting really kind of quirky with it on the beat. And so that's as a songwriter, I love the lyrics, but like as a singer, that's where I've gotten really
It's fun
excited taking the liberty on that. Yeah.
It's fun to be able to portray. Yeah, just I don't know the way you can structure lyrics, pronounce things a little bit different. Like the one that I did, so Up to the Moon was like the one where I'm like, okay, like that first half before it like drops, I'm like Adele 19 album, like straight up, like one line you go, but it's too late to go back and change. I can't think of how you pronounce it right now.
To go back and change.
Yeah, like change, like threw a little accent on there, and I'm like, 19 Adele.
Yep. Yeah. So that's another thing is that I go into this accent.
What the fuck?
There it is.
Well, that is kick ass. Holy shit.
So literally the other night I was
Really
so Lost is a new club that opened up in downtown Cleveland, and I was a little bit drunk, and so sometimes when I'm a little drunk I get a little cocky, and so I was lying to everybody in the club that I was an anesthesiologist from New Zealand.
Holy shit.
And so yes, so that was my story that night.
Holy fuck. Dude, that's really good.
Yeah. Especially when I'm drunk, it gets even better.
That's incredible.
I get even more convicted of the fact that I'm from New Zealand.
Dude, that is good. I'm thinking like Russell Brand and like whatever movie, any movie he's in at that point. But very cool. Clap, any songs stand out to you?
Witchcraft. That one was probably my favorite out of the 5.
Yeah. What was your favorite about it?
So there was a line in there. I don't know it like verbatim, but you talked about like healing yourself.
I
just thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I thought that was such a cool lyric.
Yeah.
Like Heidi Ho, I know how to heal myself or something.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Literally what I wrote.
Yeah, so that was about my ex. Who was a music writer, because he was super Italian, and he also hated the fact that I wasn't Italian. And then so because
he was trained by that by his family.
Oh, I know. Oh,
and
he knew it, and he knew it, and he was like, I could never like actually continue and be married to you.
That's
You're
ridiculous.
And so he like hated it but loved it, but he would always say that like he despised the fact that I was like into yoga and like this metaphysical and like this like very witchy, and he's like, I don't understand like why you're so into like witchy, because at this time I was also really into astrology. I was just super in it, and like bless his heart, like
do you own rocks? Do you have rocks?
Yeah, I had a ton of crystals. Yeah.
I've just been seeing those popping up everywhere.
Yeah, I don't have any crystals anymore.
My brother's girlfriend is like really into it. Yeah, I really couldn't touch her rock. Last time she was in town, she's like, you can look at it, but don't touch it. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
You can get really into it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It can become an addiction or an obsession or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so that song was like, okay, so you lied to me, and then I came into your room and I sauntered around like the little witch that I am, and like and I was talking about like really kind of like possessing his thoughts, and that's kind of where the witchy spooky vibe came from.
And deliberately dropped in October.
Yeah.
Nice.
Deliberately.
That
was intentional.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what an exact one day, but yeah.
Very cool. Well, so looking forward, so we've had Ian, young DJ of Cleveland, in the house. So you guys are working on something, right?
Yeah, we're working on a song. We're not sure what it's going to be called yet.
I'll say I've heard it.
Yeah.
And it is insane. Like,
Yeah.
so Ian gave me the backing track for it. I actually wrote some lyrics for it, and then he sent me yours, like version of it, and when it was mastered, and I literally like didn't even send him mine because I was like, that is like so good. So like, I hope you guys get it out by like the summer. It's such like
It's such a summer
such a summer vibe.
Yeah.
Such an Ian vibe. I fucking love it.
Yeah, he killed it. He said it to me like 6 months ago, like a long time ago. And it took me a while to kind of get back into the you have to be you can't just create just to create. You have to kind of be in the space. So I finally, because I'm in school right now and I work as a massage therapist and I teach yoga, okay, my life is still pretty chill, but I'm busy. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So I finally went and I had spring break and I went to Arizona and I had time to write to it. And he told me, we talked about the vibe, wanting to be like, you can imagine that you're in your car and you're just like screaming these lyrics with the wind in your hair and a group of friends in the back, and you're just like vibing. And so, and we kind of wanted it to be like about this like young, lusty vibe, like a love, And so, yeah, I think making choruses, I think I slay. I think I have a bit rough of a time with the verses and tying it all together, but the chorus is fucking
miles and
nasty.
miles.
No, like I played that for some people, and yeah, and it's not even mixed and mastered.
No, yeah, that's what I. That's
why
why I was like, wait, hang on, because I thought he went to your house and just like did it, but he said like you guys went somewhere.
We went to Brad's. Yeah.
Okay, so it was yeah.
So Brad, I record with Brad because he does all the things for my voice right there. Like I tell him my idea and he can do it.
He just knows your voice. And does he play guitar on your things as well, or are all those just like samples? I don't know. There's one song that had like a jazzy guitar that was like kick ass.
Brad is just my mixer.
Okay.
He's not my producer. Adam South is my producer as of right now.
Okay.
He made so I wrote Up to the Moon with me and my ukulele.
Yeah.
And I recorded it, and then I sent it to my producer Adam, and he made an entire beat around it.
Okay.
Witchcraft, Foolish Queen, and We Are Waves is from the guy on YouTube from Noden. And then Be Accepted I love that song because I made that beat entirely by myself.
Yeah, that one's like a low key just trippy one.
It's just it's really kind of like ethereal, kind of trancey.
Yeah.
And I had Ableton on the time at my laptop, and that was me with my keyboard going in, and I made a song. And then that day I made that song, I went skydiving. So I was kind of like in
that's fucking cool.
Skydive. Yeah.
You're listening to the demo on the way down.
Yes. Yeah.
Very cool.
So
That's awesome.
the guy I work with now, my producer, we work kind of remote right now, but he's down in Columbus. He's younger.
Not younger. I think maybe 21. I'm 23. So
I mean,
he's pretty young.
That's young.
But he is sick nasty, and we just work really well together. So I'm really excited for more songs together and to see like he's, the more you work with somebody, the better you figure out like what works. And he's learning my voice and kind of what goes, what'll match well. Because
no, that's big. And you said you can mix your voice in like minutes because he probably has just done so many
Brad.
of yours.
Brad is the next one.
I'm getting the
Adam is my producer.
Brad. Okay.
So Brad is just mixing and recording and mastering.
Okay.
And then Adam is like actually makes like the sounds.
Very cool.
Yeah, like a fuck ton of stems.
Can you tell the people, we talked about this before, but like how you and Ian met and like how you're like here right now and how we like got connected, because it's kind of a funny story.
Yeah.
So Ian and I, so I was living over here in Gordon Square, and I had just moved in. It was like a month after I moved in, heat of the summer, really beautiful day, really beautiful night. And I was feeling spunky, and there was a party going on in the house right behind my house. And I was like, hey, what you guys doing? And they're like, oh, we're having a party. Come on over, have a beer, have some food. So I hopped over the fence, and they were playing cornhole, and we were just playing cornhole. And I
was like, it was a celebration. I think she just became a lawyer or something. It was like something pretty big.
It was actually, okay, so if that's what it's for, because I was out of town, and my roommate Connor, who you met downstairs, it was him graduating law school, and they had a party for him.
Okay.
And so that's what it was.
Okay, yeah. And I was like, I don't really feel like that I should be here. I don't know. Like I thought it was just like a regular party, not like a celebration or whatever.
That's cool.
And then anyway, like I was just like chatting with people at the cornhole, and one of those people was Ian, and he's like, oh, something. I make music. I play it around the clock. I DJ. And I was like, oh, cool. Like I make music too.
And then we exchanged numbers, and then he listened to my music, and I was like, I'd love to hear some of your stuff. He's like, I'll totally hit you up. He's like, I do a bunch of other things like real estate and his like day job. So he's like super busy, but I was like, I respect the fact that anybody, if you're taking the time to just make music in your free time, like you obviously, care. It's something cool that you like to do and you feel good about it. So, and then 6 months after that, he's like, hey, yo, I got a song here, sent it to me. And then a few months later, I wrote to it. And then here we are in the process of finally kind of getting it ready to release.
The people are ready. The Stallions are ready. We're ready.
Absolutely.
I'm ready for that song to come out. It's just like such a summery, just like it's totally got this like, like a don't let me.
I was thinking
Don't
like
let me down.
that, just
Yeah.
chain smokery, just like
Yeah.
screaming out your window like you described.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be big. I mean, this is Ian's first original one
I
ready to be
know.
put out. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm
gonna be
excited
awesome for
for him.
you to be on it and just all together. People are ready.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Well, shit. So do you have any plans to like, I don't know, like, do you have any interest in playing out?
And like live.
Yeah, like I don't know, doing live. Do you do karaoke? We got Tina's nightclub over here. I'm there Friday sometimes, just ripping the Gambler, Kenny Rogers.
Yeah. So it's funny. I don't really feel like I'm that talented of a singer.
I think
Again.
Yeah. You gotta hype yourself up in the mirror.
Yeah, I know. So I guess I don't know. I've had a tough time, like, I don't know, going out and like just like performing an original. I went one time at a grog shop and performed, and it was really good, and it was fun, and I loved it. I love being the center of attention.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I really wanted to be an actress, and you know, I still would be an actress.
I'm with you. You're talking to the same person, the guy form right now.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
Club knows. Club knows.
But life happens, and so you kind of take this other path, and I'm just really open. And if
You're 23 years old, like, don't
Yeah.
even think that like you're past any point of being able to do anything.
No, I know. I'm open. And if a live event would, and one of my friends, he's like a Cleveland rapper here. I'm really in the scene. Like I know, Cassidy King.
Yeah,
Yeah. Could probably get her on your show. Get you.
I would love it. Well, yeah, we'll
credentials.
get everyone over. We're trying, and not even just like artists, but like we're trying to get like everyone, like security people who like run sound, like the people who produce it for you, Brad, all these guys.
Right.
I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
we'd love it.
And Young Cap is another one, and he invited me to go
Do some live things. I guess my ego is like, if it's not fucking sick, I don't want to do it. Like if it's not like a festival where I know like I'm gonna have a turnout of a ton of followers, I don't think I want to go do it, which is not very humbling. Like I should be like, oh, I just want to go and perform for anybody that shows up. But like, truth be told, I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I make music because I just love the act of creation. If my music blows up, then it blows up. If it doesn't blow up, then I have
for yourself.
Then I have this memento to look back and be like, hey kids, this is stuff I made.
Yeah.
Like I want you to always make stuff and finish. And I think that was a big thing for me too, with releasing that Novation and releasing these other songs under Samrest. Is I still right now currently have all these songs that I've written and I've recorded, and they're not finished. And I think when I returned back to school, I was like, you know what I need to do? Finish what I started. And so that was the point for me with school. Finish what you start.
Because you just sit on those and feel like you can't go far, or if you do go past them, then you're like, shit, that was actually a pretty good idea.
It was actually pretty cool, and I would have liked to see it finished and released. And with college too, it's like, okay, I didn't even want to go to college. I don't really even support the system of college, but I'm at this point where it's like, I need to just do it as a principle. Like I need to finish because I started it. If I never started it, then I never began.
Yeah.
But the fact that I got halfway through it and was like, oh nah, like I was like, you know what? That was just like kind of a big turning point, a big lesson for me in my life, is to suck it up and finish it because you started it. And that's with anything in life, is you should just fucking finish it. It's not even about, again, making it perfect and like making it like this like beautiful, exactly what you want it to be, because that's not what life is. Things aren't going to be exactly how you want them to be. You're not going to go down to the beach every day and be like, I hope the sunset is beautiful and clear and has the perfect amounts of clouds, because you're going to go down the sunset and sometimes it's going to be fucking cloudy and you're never going to see the sun. Or sometimes there's going to be no clouds and the sun just like dips below the horizon, you know? So
You never know what you're gonna get.
yeah, you're never going to know what you're going to get. You know, you just have to like show up and finish. And then the day is over and then you can do it all again tomorrow. Something new. Move on, like keep moving forward.
Yeah, no, my devil, and I think the worst thing, at least for myself personally, is just like procrastination, and it's like the absolute worst thing in the world when you just get in like a small, like, oh, like I have to do this thing for a day, so the whole day's blocked off. And yeah, no, we talk about that. I'm pretty sure we literally talk about this every single time, honestly. Just the essence of it. But awesome. Well, I encourage you to try to play out. It's a whole different experience, and it only makes you better. I would, maybe we'll play an open mic night sometime. I can fiddle on the acoustic.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'd be down.
nonetheless.
Do you know All Saints?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the owner is like, you should totally come play your ukulele. I'm always down to like have little
They do it
garden
upstairs, and it's amazing up there with
Yeah.
like the fireplace and chandelier. I saw a band, Apostles Jones, there one time. My buddy Mikey sings with them.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, no, so I've been like holding off. I'm just waiting to, because I played in some bands like around the area and whatnot, but I've never played by myself, and that is like something I really just like want to do, to like say I've done, and also just like at All Saints, like be background music rather than being like the center of attention and doing that.
I'd rather be the background.
Yeah,
It's like that. Just a little girl ukulele in the corner, just singing.
Exactly, and like people love it, and it's just a different experience. And again, it's astronomical how much better and more confident like getting playing out does. So yeah, I'm about to send that email very soon here to just try to get into the scene. But
yeah, that's cute. I like that inspiration. I'd love to do it outside at like outdoor places. Like,
no, and there's a lot of cool like, man, Cleveland scene, and like that's a big reason why we just wanted to do this with like the Northeast Ohio scene. I've seen all these good bands like Living at Happy Dog. When I did play out like bands that opened up, and I'm just like, yo, like these guys are really good.
Who
and
was it?
like Oregon Space Trail of Doom is one that I think, I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're like they do Oregon Space Trail of Doom, and then the Oregon Space Trail of Jazz, and where they like play at the Winchester in like their front room. And like I just think they're an astronaut. Like I just think they're such a good band for like being local, and they're now starting to like tour like smaller venues and whatnot. But I don't know, I just see a bunch of like stuff like, I mean, yourself, like we were blown away at your voice. Like cool. Honestly, like you have a little scat to you.
That's so funny, because on the last beat I was like, Brad, I'm hearing like a he's like are you hearing a scat? I was like, I absolutely am not about to scat on you.
Yes, we love scats. We're the biggest fans of scats.
Absolutely.
We were at like a band called Goose came to Cleveland, and they're like a jam band, and we were just like absolute freaks. We were wearing the goofiest hats. He's wearing like a top hat, and we're just like sitting there like scanning. These people are like, what the fuck?
I love that.
Oh man. Clap, man. You got anything from Miss Sam Russ?
Yeah. So you got 5 singles out on Spotify. Got a couple more songs that are close to being released. Any plans to like have like a full album out?
No. I think what I'm gonna work on right now is just an EP. One of my guys owns the Live Mixtapes. It's a distributing label. I think it's a Cleveland local thing, but I think it's like the nation uses it. Anyway, he's like, you know what? He's like, you need to release a whole EP. He's like, I won't have you releasing one single at a time, because that's how I like to release it. Is like work on one, really make it as good as I can, and then release it, and then work on another one, make it really as good as I can, and then release it. But he's like, no, you need a project so I can push it. So I think I just need to finish, maybe like 5 songs. Like I know that's a small EP, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so that should be coming up soon. I'm really hoping to have it done before Brad leaves to LA in July, and then I start a sales internship this June. So I won't really be. I'll be in 18 credit hours and a 40-hour work week, so I don't think I'll really have a lot of time to like be making music because I'll be busy with like real life things. So kind of just getting prepared for that. I'm off all of May. So I'm gonna go so I'm gonna go train with a yogi in New York City for a week and then kind of like, get myself in that mindset to do some music. But the thing is, like, music is never just music. It's also social media. It's also, content. And it's like,
I just had someone tell me, like, even for this podcast, you're like, you gotta download TikTok, and I'm like, but I don't want to. But
I
people
know.
are telling us we have to clip. They want to see quick videos of our faces.
All right, Stallions TikTok, fire it up.
Officially launched.
I know, but it's like almost like you need another person recording you and like doing all that stuff
I know.
because it's like
yeah.
it gets so taxing when you become the person doing all of it. And I did that, and I did that for Nova, and I was like, I just feel like such a fucking loser, constantly just like posting about how cool I am, and like I don't know.
No, but like that's what people like. I mean, I talk about this all the time with my friends, how like you haven't seen someone for 10 years, yet you follow them on Instagram and you just like know what they're doing strictly because you follow them on like whatever you follow them on.
Yeah.
But it's good. Like if that's what, I mean, like, I don't know, that's what I've been saying. Like, how do I want to be identified as? Like, oh, like all I give a shit about is making music. Like, might as well just only post that.
Yeah.
And I think we've gotten over the selfie. At first, like I would be a little bit scared in public. I wouldn't want to take a selfie at a game. I'd look like a loser. But I think it's a thing now where we can all walk around and just like take videos, and it's become normalized. Our parents are doing it, so it's all right.
Yeah. That's super true too.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, and then it's also, but you don't just take a video. It's like then you got to go and edit it. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
Then you gotta like making reels, and so on my Instagram, I'm really big into yoga, obviously. And I really want my music to reflect that because if anything has gotten me through these past 10 years and stuck with me, and not gotten lost in the ADD that is my life, it has been yoga, and so. It's like, okay, I was working on, people are like, you should make yoga stuff. Like you should be famous for yoga on Instagram, and like, you can get like free stuff. And yeah. And I was like, yoga. Okay. We're making reels about yoga. And then it's like, almost when you like begin to like make content about it, like it comes a little bit inauthentic. Like I love it. Like it's cool to have reels. And I think for the people that are making a living on their content, that's super great. Like that's super awesome.
Yeah, but it's tough.
That's wicked. But for me as a person, like loving to connect in like real life, it's tough. But as a musician, someone that needs to market themselves and become a salesperson of their identity, it's also a double-edged sword, and you got to be able to be like, fuck it, I'm just letting people know, and this is me, and here I am, and this is what I have, and this is what I'm doing, and just like accept it.
That's good. And then like one person sees it, it gets them talking, and like I don't know, it's definitely a tough cycle because like like I said, the authentic part of it. There's something about just being on video when you're on video.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
It's tough too because it's like such a numbers game. Like if I had, a million views on or a million plays on my song, I probably would be able to send my stuff to a manager on Instagram and be like, hey, I'd love you to hear this song. And before they even listen to it and they see that number, they'd be like, oh, she's good. And it just changes people's views on the music before they even go and listen.
Just ratio. They just look at the ratio and they're like,
So people go to my, Spotify, and they're like, oh, last, 12 monthly listeners. It's like, I even do it to myself. I'm like, this isn't going to be good. And then I play it. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember myself.
No, and that's such a good way to put it.
But it is like, it is a numbers game, and I get that. And especially like it's an industry and it's a business. So from a business standpoint, as a manager, I'm not going to invest in somebody who's not willing to put in the time to get those numbers out. I'm going to invest in somebody who maybe their music isn't as good, or maybe it's still really good, but they're grinding and they're fully committed, and they're living at their parents' house, and they're working as a Starbucks, and like they're investing all their money, or they're just super rich. Another Cleveland artist, Sienna Bella, she's doing awesome. She's pretty famous. I'd say, you know her?
Yeah, I know her. I actually did an internship at local radio or a TV station. So I know her mom as well.
Exactly. So she has hella connections.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing. Hella connections, hella money. You're gonna make it in the music.
More than half, I would say, is probably connections. Like honestly. But
Yeah.
hey, you came on here, you talked about artists. Now we're gonna say Sam Russ did this, and it's all about connections in here, and that's what we're trying to be on the Stallions, baby.
I love it.
But awesome. Yeah. Speaking of social media, can the people keep up with you anywhere?
Yeah, Instagram. What's good, Sam? That's my Instagram. I don't have TikTok. I don't have Twitter. I pretty much just Instagram.
That's all right. Instagram is honestly
Can we
really
just
old.
streamline it into all just one?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So Instagram.
All right, dope. Well, we'll be posting about it, but it's been a pleasure. This has been a fun conversation. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for the time.
Yeah, that was get some great stories. And so here's what I've been telling people that are coming on early is we will definitely have you back later this year, and we will be excited to kind of hear what's changed in Sam Russ's world and everything moving forward.
Nice.
But besides that, I think we are good to go. I'll tell you, if you haven't listened to us, we're a bunch of stallions, so we neigh at the end of our podcast. But we'll do a little sign out first. My name is Bruce.
I'm Sam Russ.
I'm Clap.
And this has been another episode of Vinyl Stallions.
Stallions.